are betrayals that happen in a single moment, and then there are betrayals that happen slowly, quietly, while you're still calling the people hurting you family. Olivia Carter didn't realize her marriage was ending when her husband started coming home late. She didn't realize her best friend was lying to her every day. They sat together drinking coffee and laughing about life. Because some people don't destroy you with hatred, they destroy you with a smile. For almost 12 years, Olivia believed she had built the perfect life: a loving husband, a successful marriage, a friendship that survived college heartbreaks, weddings, miscarriages, and funerals. From the outside, Jason Miller and Charlotte Hayes looked like the two people who loved her most in the world. But behind Olivia's back, they were building a secret life together, one lie at a time. And the frightening part? They thought Olivia was powerless. They thought she was ordinary. They thought the quiet woman they mocked in private was financially dependent on Jason and too weak to survive without him. What neither of them knew was that Olivia had been hiding a truth so massive it would completely destroy everything they thought they understood about her. Because Olivia Carter was not broke, she was not helpless, and she was definitely not the woman they believed they were betraying. The night everything changed began with one text message, one sentence flashing across a screen while rain hit the kitchen windows. "I can't wait until she's finally out of the picture." The message was from Charlotte. In less than 5 seconds, Olivia's entire world collapsed. But what happened after that message would leave Jason and Charlotte begging for mercy in ways neither of them could have imagined. There are betrayals that happen in a single moment, and then there are betrayals that happen slowly, quietly, while you're still calling the people hurting you family. Olivia Carter didn't realize her marriage was ending when her husband started coming home late. She didn't realize her best friend was lying to her every day. They sat together drinking coffee and laughing about life. Because some people don't destroy you with hatred, they destroy you with a smile. For almost 12 years, Olivia believed she had built the perfect life: a loving husband, a successful marriage, a friendship that survived college heartbreaks, weddings, funerals, and every difficult season life placed in front of them. From the outside, Jason Miller and Charlotte Hayes looked like the two people who loved her most in the world. But behind Olivia's back, they were building a secret life together, one lie at a time, and the frightening part was this: they thought Olivia was powerless. They thought she was ordinary. They thought the quiet woman they mocked in private was financially dependent on Jason and too weak to survive without him. What neither of them knew was that Olivia had been hiding a truth so massive it would eventually destroy everything they thought they understood about her. Because Olivia Carter was not broke, she was not helpless, and she was definitely not the woman they believed they were betraying. Before we go deeper into this story, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. The night everything changed began like any ordinary Thursday evening. Rain pressed softly against the kitchen windows while Olivia stood barefoot, near the stove preparing dinner for a husband who no longer looked at her the way he once did. Jason had texted her 30 minutes earlier, saying he was stuck at work after a late meeting with clients. Olivia didn't question it because lately there always seemed to be another meeting, another dinner, another reason for him to come home exhausted and distant. Marriage changes people. At least that's what Olivia kept telling herself. She reached for Jason's tablet to search for a recipe when a message notification appeared across the screen. One sentence, just one. But it shattered 12 years of trust in less than 5 seconds. "I can't stop thinking about last night." The message was from Charlotte. Olivia froze. At first, her brain refused to understand what her eyes were seeing. Her body became still while the silence inside that kitchen somehow grew louder than thunder. Then another message appeared moments later. She still has no idea. Olivia slowly sat down at the kitchen table, staring at the screen while her entire world rearranged itself into something unrecognizable. There are moments in life when pain arrives so suddenly that your mind protects you from it by making everything feel unreal. Olivia later described that moment as feeling like watching somebody else's marriage collapse from outside her own body. She opened the messages, and what she found buried inside years of conversations would change her forever. There were hotel reservations, secret photographs, private jokes about her, conversations discussing divorce, cruel comments about her appearance, Jason complaining that Olivia lacked ambition, Charlotte mocking Olivia's quiet personality while pretending to comfort her in person. And somehow the humiliation hurt even more than the affair itself, because this wasn't just cheating. This was betrayal carefully performed over years by the two people she trusted most. Olivia didn't scream. She didn't throw the tablet across the room. She didn't call Jason crying. Instead, she sat there quietly reading every message until almost 2 in the morning. while rain continued falling outside like nothing in the world had changed. But everything had changed. And somewhere between the shock, the humiliation, and the heartbreak, another feeling slowly began replacing the pain: clarity. Because for the first time in years, Olivia stopped making excuses for people who never deserved her loyalty. What Jason and Charlotte never understood was that Olivia Carter had spent most of her adult life pretending to be smaller than she really was. 10 years earlier, after the death of her grandfather Richard Bennett, Olivia inherited something almost nobody knew existed. Richard Bennett had quietly built one of the largest private real estate investment empires in the country. He owned commercial properties, apartment developments, hotels, warehouses, and investment firms spread across multiple states. Publicly, very few people knew his actual net worth because most of his businesses operated through holding corporations and private partnerships. When Richard died, the majority of his empire passed to Olivia. At only 28 years old, she suddenly became one of the wealthiest women in the country, and it terrified her, not because of the money itself, but because she had already seen what money did to people. After Richard's funeral, relatives who barely visited him suddenly fought viciously over inheritance. Cousins sued each other. Marriages collapsed. Greed exposed sides of people Olivia never wanted to witness again. That was the moment she made a decision that would shape the next decade of her life. She would hide her wealth, not entirely, of course. Her attorneys managed the businesses, financial advisors handled investments. But personally, Olivia chose a modest life. She dressed simply, lived comfortably instead of extravagantly. She wanted people to love her without the influence of money, and when she met Jason Miller 3 years later, she truly believed she had found that kind of love. Jason was charming in the beginning, funny, confident, ambitious. He spoke constantly about wanting to build a meaningful life with someone who understood loyalty and partnership. Olivia admired his drive. He worked in corporate consulting and dreamed of becoming financially successful one day. During their early years together, Jason often joked that Olivia was too humble for modern life. At the time, she thought it was sweet. Now she understood he simply believed she lacked value. Charlotte Hayes entered Olivia's life years before Jason did. They met during college and quickly became inseparable. Charlotte was outspoken, glamorous, social, and magnetic in ways Olivia never tried to be. People naturally gravitated toward her energy. Olivia trusted her completely because Charlotte had remained beside her through difficult periods of life when many others disappeared. Or at least that's what Olivia believed. Looking back later, Olivia realized the warning signs had always existed. Charlotte constantly compared herself to wealthy women online. She obsessed over status, luxury vacations, designer lifestyles, expensive jewelry. She complained endlessly about feeling overlooked by successful men while secretly resenting women who appeared happier than she was. Still, Olivia never imagined Charlotte capable of betrayal this deep. Over the next several weeks, Olivia quietly transformed into someone Jason no longer recognized. She stopped arguing, stopped asking questions, stopped seeking affection from a man already emotionally gone, and strangely, Jason seemed relieved by the silence. What he didn't know was that Olivia had already contacted her attorneys the night she discovered the affair. At exactly 2:13 a.m., Olivia made a single phone call. "It's time," she said quietly. Within days, private investigators began uncovering details Jason never expected anyone would see: hidden purchases, transfers between accounts, unauthorized use of marital funds. Even worse, investigators discovered Jason had unknowingly committed financial misconduct connected to one of Olivia's holding companies through business contracts signed months earlier. The irony was almost unbelievable. The company Jason constantly bragged about helping expand was partially owned by Olivia herself, and he had no idea. Meanwhile, Jason and Charlotte continued their affair confidently. In their minds, they were planning a future together, while Olivia remained emotionally blind and financially dependent. Charlotte especially seemed convinced she had finally won. She began spending more time around Jason publicly. Mutual friends noticed subtle tension. Rumors quietly started spreading through social circles, but Olivia remained calm. That calmness frightened people later when they looked back on the story. Because most betrayed spouses react emotionally, Olivia reacted strategically. Jason eventually filed for divorce, expecting the process to intimidate her. He assumed she would beg him to stay. He assumed she would fear financial instability without him. Instead, Olivia accepted the filing quietly without resistance. That's when Jason first became uncomfortable. There was no panic, no emotional breakdown, no desperation, just silence. And sometimes silence is far more terrifying than anger. Weeks later, Jason attended an executive business meeting that would permanently change his understanding of reality. The meeting involved a major restructuring connected to the parent investment group overseeing his company. Jason sat confidently inside the conference room, expecting another routine corporate presentation. Then he saw a familiar name appear across the screen, Olivia Carter. Jason stared at the presentation, confused. Moments later, another executive casually mentioned Olivia as one of the principal ownership stakeholders connected to the investment group funding several major expansions within the company. Jason felt the blood drain from his face. At first, he thought there had to be some mistake. Then the numbers appeared. Hundreds of millions in assets, commercial properties, luxury developments, private investments. Suddenly, every strange detail from the past decade began rearranging itself inside his mind. Olivia's complete lack of concern about money, her calmness during financial stress, her connections, her attorneys, the way certain executives always treated her with unusual respect during company functions. Jason left the meeting barely able to breathe. That night, he confronted Charlotte in panic. Charlotte laughed at him initially because the truth sounded ridiculous. Olivia? A billionaire? Impossible. But within 48 hours, both of them confirmed everything. And for the first time since their affair began, fear entered the relationship, not fear of losing love, fear of losing power. Jason started calling Olivia repeatedly. She ignored every call. He sent long emotional messages apologizing for everything. He blamed confusion, midlife pressure, emotional loneliness. He claimed Charlotte manipulated him. He promised he still loved Olivia and wanted to repair the marriage. But apologies sound very different once consequences arrive. Charlotte reacted differently. At first, she became defensive and angry, accusing Jason of hiding information from her. Then jealousy slowly consumed her once she realized the life she secretly wanted had belonged to Olivia all along. The woman she mocked for years had quietly been everything Charlotte desperately wished to become, and that realization destroyed her. 3 months later, Olivia finally agreed to meet Jason face to face. The meeting took place inside a private executive office overlooking downtown Chicago. Jason arrived early, visibly exhausted and emotionally unraveled. When Olivia finally walked inside, Jason barely recognized her, not because she looked different physically, but because she no longer carried sadness inside her posture. There was confidence now, peace, distance. Jason immediately started apologizing again. He cried openly, describing how much he regretted everything. He admitted the affair began during a period when he felt insecure and unsuccessful beside Olivia's quiet strength. He claimed Charlotte encouraged the relationship while feeding his ego and frustrations. Olivia listened silently. Then she asked him a question that completely shattered him. When exactly did you stop seeing me as a human being? Jason couldn't answer, because the truth was painful. Long before the affair became physical, he had already stopped respecting the woman who loved him most. Olivia calmly explained that the cheating itself wasn't the deepest wound. The humiliation was, the lies, the private jokes, the way they laughed at her kindness while benefiting from it. Jason broke down completely, but the most devastating moment came seconds later when Olivia revealed one final truth. Several of Jason's recent financial decisions connected to company accounts were now under investigation. Depending on the findings, his career could collapse permanently. Jason stared at her in disbelief. Everything around him suddenly felt unstable. His marriage was gone. His reputation was collapsing. His relationship with Charlotte had become toxic, and the future he imagined building no longer existed. Charlotte arrived unexpectedly midway through the meeting. After discovering where Jason had gone, the confrontation that followed exposed every hidden resentment buried inside their relationship. Charlotte accused Jason of using her. Jason blamed Charlotte for encouraging the affair. Years of manipulation, jealousy, insecurity, and greed finally exploded openly between them. Olivia simply stood and walked away. Because sometimes closure does not arrive through revenge. Sometimes closure arrives the moment you stop needing explanations from people who betrayed you. Over the following year, Jason's life steadily collapsed. Investigations connected to financial misconduct severely damaged his professional reputation. Friends distanced themselves quietly. Several business relationships disappeared entirely. The confidence that once made him attractive slowly transformed into bitterness and regret. Charlotte's social world collapsed too. Mutual friends no longer trusted her. Relationships became shallow and temporary. Ironically, Jason eventually cheated on Charlotte as well, repeating the exact cycle that destroyed Olivia's marriage in the first place. And perhaps that was the cruelest truth of all. People rarely betray only one person. Eventually, they betray themselves too. Meanwhile, Olivia expanded her business operations internationally and relocated for part of the year to Europe. For the first time in over a decade, she began building a life entirely on her own terms without shrinking herself to protect other people's egos. Months later, Jason saw a photograph of Olivia online during a charity event in Milan. She looked genuinely happy, not performatively happy, not socially polished, peaceful. And in that moment, Jason finally understood something that arrived far too late. He had never been competing against another man for Olivia's attention. He had been competing against the value she quietly carried within herself all along, and he lost. Sometimes karma does not arrive violently. Sometimes it arrives quietly while people slowly destroy their own lives through greed, arrogance, and betrayal. Because the truth is this, the most dangerous people to underestimate are often the quiet ones, the ones who do not need attention to feel powerful, the ones who continue loving sincerely even after being betrayed, the ones who walk away silently after finally realizing their worth, and by the time others understand who they truly lost, it's already too late. If you enjoyed this story, let us know in the comments what part shocked you the most. Would you have forgiven Jason if you were Olivia? And if you thought this betrayal was unbelievable, wait until you hear the next story. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another emotional true storytelling documentary like this one.